Hey there, you guys. Welcome back to Not Your College Life with Lisa Beals. I'm your host, Lisa Beals, and this is a bonus episode in the month of December. I am Lisa Beals. I'm the Midwestern mom slash college administrator who's done the college thing myself, sent a couple kids through school, and realized that universities today do not make it easy on parents. I'm guilty. I work at the university. I see it all the time. There are so many hurdles and pieces of bureaucracy that we expect students to navigate. It's no wonder y'all don't know where to turn. So I'm here to bridge that gap for you and make those connections so that you can feel more empowered raising that teenager into a productive and healthy adult. And then you can get to the empty nester syndrome that you have been waiting for. Okay, so let's jump into this bonus episode. You guys, this is a little bit of a sneak peek at my mini course. I thought since I had time, I would do this podcast on Module 1. So my course is 3 modules, and in the course, we will really do a deep dive into all the stuff. But I thought, you know what? Not everybody is going to want or be able to pay for it. So I thought it would be great to get you some tools that if you wanted to try and do this on your own, this will help you get started with your student. Okay? So the first module in the academic recovery course is a reflection piece. It's how did I get here? Right? Because you can't fix a problem unless you understand the problem. You have to turn around and look back to see, okay, what did I trip on so that I know what to pay attention to next time. So this is not for you. This is for you to coach your student through. This is for you to, ideally, your student's going to raise their hand and say, yes, work with me on this. Let me go through it myself, or let's go through it together. And to be quite honest, friends, I recommend, and I don't want this to come across as the helicopter, because it doesn't have to be you, right? I think your student needs to work through this with another person. So many times, and I'm guilty of it, we're blind to our shortfalls. Our significant others, our family members, our siblings, they can tell you what your shortfall, your shortcomings are in a hot second. Those are sometimes, let's be real, a lot of times those are hard to hear. I mean, I can hear a criticism from a stranger or a coworker or colleague, and I could hear the same thing from my husband or a parent, and that just breaks me. And that comes, I did a lot of thinking about that, and I think it connects to how you want them to see you. I want my husband's and my parents' approval, and I want them to be proud of me. And so when I hear criticisms or things that I interpret as criticisms, man, those are hard. Those are hard. But they're going to be they're also going to be your biggest cheerleaders too. So that's the first piece for you and your student to have a discussion about, right? Is they're going to work through this. I'm going to create a reflection worksheet for my students, if they want to use it, to kind of guide you, a guided reflection on how you got here. And they can choose to work through that alone and then ask a family member, or maybe it's their roommate, or maybe it's their advisor. It's someone else who has enough information about who they are as a person, and a student, strengths and weaknesses, that can give them feedback, both good and bad, right? Because nobody wants to hear all the awful things that they're doing. They need to be reminded of the good things they're doing. So that's the first thing is find out, does your student want to do this with you? Do they want to do it alone? Don't recommend that, but who can they partner with when they're done to really kind of rehash their rearview mirror to see, how did I get here? Where am I responsible for this? Where is circumstance responsible? And then we'll get into, how to review. Okay. So first they need to decide who they want to work with. I'm going to suggest it's going to take a couple, 3 sessions of maybe 30 minutes to an hour of looking back. And that will allow for some digestion is really the only word I can think of, but I'm going to go through this worksheet. I'm going to do my reflection, and then I'm going to set it down for a couple of days, and I might remember something new. I might remember something differently, but then I can come back to that worksheet and kind of add to it, because we want this to be really comprehensive review. Okay? So the first thing I want your student to do is a calendar review. Look at the calendar for the semester in question. Hopefully it's in their recent rearview mirror and not longer, because that'll make it more challenging. But ideally, they can just look at the last semester and look at their calendar. What's on it that doesn't need to be? What's on it that is not moving me towards my goals? What's missing from it, right? What's not on it that probably should have been? Is there a calendar? Were they just flying by the seat of their pants? Ding, ding, ding. There's some insight right there. What were their daily habits? Did they get up at the same time during the day? Did they brush their teeth? Did they work out? Did they journal or do a devotion? What were their daily habits that were contributing to their success, limited success, failure? However you want to define that. What were their daily habits? Did those habits support their goal? Did they make any time for planning? Did they plan anything? If they did plan in calendar, did they estimate their time well? And what I mean by that is, so I could say, I'm going to calendar 30 minutes to research a podcast topic. And I put it on my calendar, and when I sit down to do it, I realize that there's not much content out there. And so I'm struggling now. Or I find this information on the web, and the Google has shared something else that is interesting to me. I'm like, ooh, that would be another good topic. Let me go check that out. And I go down that rabbit hole. Who hasn't done that? That's what I mean by, did I estimate my time well? Either I didn't honor my commitment and stay focused on my task in the time frame that I committed to, or the task, I didn't estimate the time it would truly need. Right? It's going to be a difficult topic. I don't know as much about it. It's not going to take me 30 minutes. It's going to take me 90 minutes. Or if I've set aside time for reading a chapter in my text and I set aside 30 minutes and my mind isn't focused, so I keep rereading the same thing. Those are good indicators, right, about time. So that's a calendar review. That's the first thing they want to do. Then I want them to consider, first, did they realize they were struggling? Did they have any inkling in the pit of their stomach, a little whisper in their head? Did they realize, at what point did they realize that they were struggling? They had to have known. I knew they know. And when I say struggling, I mean academically, physically, and mentally. So typically it's one of those three things, or a combination, that creates the semester that we're talking about. So academically, did they recognize when they were struggling? And I'm sure they did at some point. When was that? Write it down. When was that? And who did they connect with about that? Did they seek out any assistance from their instructor during office hours, from their teaching assistant? Did they try and join a study session or go to an academic support center on campus? Or did they talk to you about a tutor? Did they do any proactive activity when they recognized, I'm struggling academically? If they thought in their mind at some point, especially in this year of COVID, right? At what point, if any, did they start to feel some inkling that emotionally they just weren't doing well? Whether it was clinical depression, just some gray days and not feeling my chipper self, or feelings of isolation and loneliness. When did they identify it? Write it down. Think back, look at the calendar. When did they realize that they were starting to struggle emotionally? Did they reach out to anyone about it? A roommate, a friend, a family member, an advisor, a therapist? Did they do anything, or did they shut down? And then the last one for struggling is physical health, right? At what point, if this was an issue, did your student, did they start to struggle physically? Meaning, did they have a chronic illness? Did they have a new illness or injury that became an obstacle to their academic success? What was that physical situation, right? Was it a broken leg? Was it, maybe it was diabetes that has flared up, or Crohn's disease, or chronic migraines that have just escalated, right? When did that flare up? Write down as much as they can remember about it, and who did they reach out to try and remedy? Who did they loop in to say, this is a problem, I'm not quite sure how to fix this or how to deal with this myself? How can you help me through this? Did they do any of that? Okay? And then the last thing I want your student to do as part of their reflection is to consider, in that tough semester, what was the thing they did to fill their cup? And I think most folks know what I mean, but if you don't, it's, what is the thing that when you do it, you feel energized and excited and motivated? And that could vary from person to person, right? Some people feel very energized after running, right? They want to run. It releases those endorphins, and it allows them to get out of their own head and just be physical and move. And that just fills them up. For some people, it's playing music, or playing a sport, or volunteering, or journaling. What is the thing? And did your student make time for that every week? If they didn't, why not? Okay, so that's a little sneak peek into Module 1. Module 2 is going to be how to request that mulligan. And then Module 3 is identifying what we did here, the issues, right? And making plans and next steps to move forward and to make it stick, make those changes stick. So you guys, I'm so excited to give you a peek into that. If you are interested in the worksheet, email me. You'll need to email me at Lisa, L-E-S-A, at lisabeals.com if you want that worksheet to work with your student. If you think the course is something you're interested in, you can go to my website and sign up for the wait list. That is coming soon. Okay, you guys. If this was helpful, please do me a favor. Share it with a friend. Bonus episodes. If you're not a subscriber, you probably did not get notification that this was released. You might have just fallen into it. So if you're a subscriber, you are the first ones to know that I have a new episode or a bonus episode like this one released. So thank you so much, you guys. I truly value the time that you spend with me every week to hear my ramblings, and hopefully I'm making a difference in your day and the life of your student. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.